And that's what Barack Obama did. However, as our president, other than just love listening to him talk because he's such a great orator, I disagree with so many of his policies. I thought in so many ways, rather than uniting us as a country, even by race, he divided us. Everything was black and white.
Yes, Bruce Pearl, as though America has always been united, right? Just one Google search about its history of Native American people, black people, immigrants. I mean, even right now, with, let's just call it what it is, secret police running around rounding people up, always been united. If you don't know who Bruce Pearl is, he's a basketball coach, from college basketball coach. I know him mostly for coaching the Auburn basketball team. He's a very good coach, at least to me, right? But it's interesting to watch this video, and I feel like everyone who is riled up about this, you're justified as hell. Know that you have my support, right? But for me, maybe because I try to do things in fairness, I try to deep things a little more. But with people like Bruce Pearl, when I deep it, it just makes it worse, actually. It doesn't make it better for them. If you watch that full clip, go look it up, and you get the whole gist of everything, you realize that Bruce Pearl actually made that claim about Barack Obama, which has infuriated a lot of black people, right? And not only because of what he's saying about Barack Obama, but the context of that, right? How you look at someone that looks like your players, and that's the rhetoric you have about them. There have been many U.S. presidents you can criticize in terms of policy rather than, spewing this rhetoric about them being the reason why the country is divided. But there's that. So what I want to say, though, is that as I'm watching this clip, right, and I'm watching Bruce Pearl do this, and I deep it, and I go, okay, the context is he's mad about what Barack Obama recently said about the situation with Israel and in Gaza, right? And you notice that he takes that angle. I deep it more and I find out Bruce Pearl is Jewish, so I understand his sentiments. I understand his vested interest, his inherent bias, right? But to go from there and go back to where you went with Barack Obama, you start to realize that this is what people will say sometimes, and being able to dibble and dabble, right, into when it works for you versus when you're white American, right? I think that there's something to be said there. Then there's also something to be said about how you want to dibble and dabble when you are, the basketball coach who is on Outkick talking politics. But if you're a basketball player, those young black gentlemen were want to talk about politics, or to want to speak against Donald Trump, or want to, voice their opinions, how quickly you and the NCAA would slap them down. Little things like that. Another thing, too, I also noticed is some Bruce Pearl is doing that Outkick supported, is when you look at the research that some people will point to, or the rhetoric to support their rhetoric when they say Barack Obama divided us, etc. One, let's remember that the person you most likely support now, I can come to that conclusion, launched his presidency by telling you, pointing to this guy's race, ethnicity, etc., and saying that he wasn't a president born in America. That guy himself has a racist history, but okay. The research they point to is they say that, it shows that Americans feel like the country's more divided post-Obama's presidency. But the wording in that has always been damning. Feeling like the country is more divided after his presidency, when it comes to the racial lines, does not mean that people agree that his policies made us divided, right? You pretty much ignore and if you just able to read between the lines and listen to the dog whistles, the aspect, the simple humanities point of, hey, there's some racist people that watch the president be president for 8 years and then grind their gears. Right? Because you can't, and this is what's interesting about someone like Obama. It's not like I'm always ready to bootlick for him. You can critique him, same way you can critique a lot of U.S. presidents. On the other side for him, he gets a lot of flags, right, from leftists. I'm not going to name anybody, especially black leftists, right, who don't think he catered a lot to black people, or the black radical movements, or, anti-imperialism, that exists. So it's a bit maddening, right, to have to listen to people like Bruce Pearl, and then also listen to people on the other side. They don't even think this guy was out there just signing laws for black people. But again, we could deep this a lot more, but I'm just going to save this for now. Bruce Pearl, it's shut up and dribble when it's one of your players, but when it's you, it's okay.